with us for a few minutes. Sheikh Arsalan, as usually we will have hadith.
Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullah. Not a hadith, just a quick reminder, inshallah ta'ala. Bismillah, walhamdulillah, wa salatu wa salamu ala rasulillah, wa ala alihi wa sahbihi wa man wala. Just something that perhaps, I don't know, maybe some people don't know. It seems some people don't know. If we are performing Salatul Jama'ah, if we're praying the congregational prayer, and it can happen to anybody, if something happens that we lose our wudu in the middle of the congregational prayer, if we lose our wudu, then the teaching of the Prophet ﷺ is, in that case, to immediately leave the congregation. But what happens is, if we don't know that, sometimes we hesitate because there are rows of people and we know we're not supposed to go in front of people. But this is an exception. In this case, we have to go through the rows. Even if that means we have to disturb 3, 4, 5, 6, 10 rows of people, we have to go through the rows, get out of the congregation, and go and refresh our wudu, and then come back to the congregational prayer. If we remain where we are until the end of the prayer and do it at the end of the prayer, then that breaks the row, because we have lost our wudu, we're not praying. So for us being in the middle of the row and not praying, that puts a break in the row. So the teaching of the Prophet ﷺ is not to do that, but to simply leave immediately. And I know sometimes it can be a little embarrassing, but that's fine. It happened, something even more embarrassing happened with Rasulullah ﷺ. But he was not embarrassed. You know what happened with him? He came for Salatul Fajr. The Iqamah was already called. He came. Now, according to some of the riwayat, he even said Allahu Akbar. So he started the prayer. And right after that, he turned around and he signals to the people, stay where you are. And he quickly goes to his house, which was attached to the masjid. And people are waiting, what's going on? He comes back, and it's obvious that he just took a bath, because water is dripping from his hair. And he comes and he leads the prayer. Obviously, he was in a state of janaba, meaning that he had intimacy with his wife the night before. And he had forgotten to perform ghusl before he came to pray. As soon as he remembered that, he left immediately. And can you imagine the embarrassment that, everybody now knows that you just went and performed ghusl and came back? But he did that, sallallahu alayhi wasallam. It also happened to the Imam of Masjid al-Nabawi, by the way, Sheikh al-Hudayfi. It's on YouTube, by the way, you can go and check it out. Just a few years ago, he was leading the prayer, and he started the prayer, he said Allahu Akbar. And then before he recites the Fatiha, he's just standing there for a few seconds, and then he says in the microphone, Intadhiru daqiqa. Intadhiru daqiqa. And then you see in the camera footage, he leaves somewhere. Now most of the people don't understand Arabic. They have no clue what just happened. So you can see the people in the first row, some of them are just standing. Some of them start looking to the left and looking to the right, like what happened just now, what's this? Intadhiru daqiqa. Right? Intadhiru daqiqa means what? Wait a minute. Wait a minute. Right? He left, he comes back into the scene couple of minutes later. And then he starts the prayer again. And same thing had happened with him. He had forgotten that he doesn't have wudu. So he had left, and then he came back. So the point is that even if something like that happens, just follow the instruction of the Prophet ﷺ. That way we'll get more reward, inshaAllah ta'ala. Wallahu ta'ala alam. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullah.
One more, in addition to Sheikh Arsalan, as he mentioned, Jazakallahu khaira, Sheikh, for this beautiful reminders. This also fuqaha mentioned that, but in this case, if you are leaving and you are breaking the rules, you feel embarrassment. And some of fuqaha, they mentioned that what you do, just keep your, hold your nose, just like this. Just like this, hold your nose and just move out. Sometimes what happens, there's a bleeding, nosebleed. So no, you just keep your hands here. It's not necessarily you have to tell everyone, my nose is bleeding. But just keep your hand here and just move out. So you will not be embarrassed. Because bleeding, nose bleeding is this is a trick. So if you keep it your hands here and just move out, you will not be embarrassed. Jazakallah khair, Sheikh Arsalan.